Hello, this is my first YouTube video. My name is Domas, Domas. Yes, like Thomas, but with a D. I've decided to start a YouTube drawing channel, so here we go. This is some shots from my hometown in Druskininkai, Lithuania. I was going to the petrol station, not to get gas, for I don't have a car, but to get a coffee. I was going to do my first video in the forest somewhere, as I like to find a quiet place and sketch or paint. However, whilst I was getting a coffee, I got a call asking to give a skateboarding lesson, to which I said yes, so my trip to the forest was interrupted. No worries. I decided to park myself on this table by the petrol station and have my coffee whilst drawing my surroundings. All I could find was this red bin in front of me, so I decided to draw that. Since this is the first time I'm doing a video like this, it was quite difficult to draw whilst filming. The best camera I've got at the moment is on my iPad, so I used this. Whilst I was drawing and filming, I had to look through the screen of my iPad at times, which was quite interesting. It was like watching a movie as it was being made. As I mentioned before, I'm from a small town in south of Lithuania called Druskininkai. It's a resort full of tourists in the summertime and quite empty in the wintertime. You might be thinking, why did I decide to draw a bin instead of trees or something more exciting? Well, the answer to this is I don't really know. Sometimes I just do not have the time to spend deciding what to draw. I just have to start. I choose an object and I start. This bin was the closest thing to me that I could see, and I could see some reflections of light on it. As I was drawing outside and sort of in a rush, the drawing was not really coming out the way I wanted to, but I kept going. I wanted to call this video, it's about the process and not the finish, so we'll see if I will use this as a name for this video, as I tend to change my mind quite a bit as I move along through my creative process. Perhaps it's not the most productive way to function, but oh well, at the moment I can't help it. Creative force is quite chaotic, and not sure about you, but I always find myself drawing something at the last minute on the way to some event, or sometimes while the drawing session is finishing and I decide on one more last quick drawing, that last piece becomes the best. Maybe when you try really hard, it becomes forced, and when you're more relaxed and not looking at the outcome so much, but at the process, at that exact moment when the pen is touching the paper, rolling across it and making a mark, that's when it comes out the most natural, almost like it wasn't made by you, but by someone else. Some other thing was taking you over, another force, like it was done by accident. That's what I think Francis Bacon was talking about when he referred to an accident, that moment where you are unaware of the movements you're making, which eventually becomes your best work. I don't remember which artist said this, but the quote was something along the lines of, "All the mistakes I've made in my work turn out to be the best parts of my work." It could have been Edgar Degas, however, I'm not too sure. Might have been Cézanne too. I intend these videos to be a sort of diary also, not something perfectly finished, but a work in process. I think it's important to strive for perfection. However, also, because of this aim, I often block myself of doing the work at all. First, I must make mistakes in order to do something better afterwards. In terms of blocks, creative blocks, or any blocks in life, a great help for me was a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. Journaling 3 A4 size pages every morning has become a habit of mine, and now I do it every day, even though I am still on a 12-week course. I really recommend this book, even if, or especially if you don't consider yourself as an artist. This book has helped me push out my negative thinking, which was blocking my everyday tasks, even if they were not creative. However, I think every day we create, whether if it's a conversation, a meal, an interaction, a YouTube video, or a drawing, it does not matter. It is still creation. It is still a choice made by you. And who is that magical word, you? I still question quite a lot. I think Einstein said it. Either you consider nothing as a miracle or everything as a miracle. And I believe that. Since I was young in school, religious classes was mandatory. And kids would always ask the question, does God exist? And I never had doubt. However, I did not delve into the question too much. Now I think this great force works through all of us, makes us all move forwards, whatever name you put to it. Whatever you call that force that makes you want to do anything, that is it. That is God to me. So I don't argue or discuss this subject too much. If you know, you know. But as an artist, once I dove deeper in this subject, it opened up more avenues to me to walk in, to create in, and to evolve in. I let go of many fears, if it's the right way to put it. I am letting go of new fears every day, embracing new fears, embracing new challenges, not looking at the outcome so much, but more being present in the moment. That's how this channel came about. That's how this video came about. I am not planning too much. I just knew I had to start somewhere. Jump and the net will appear. Of course, I watched a lot of videos on YouTube in my lifetime. However, at times they were demotivating me to create myself. Not all of them. Some are really inspiring. However, doing something and watching videos on doing something are two different things. For someone like me, an addictive personality, repeating something is very addictive. And after watching one video, I might jump to another on autoplay and completely forget why I was watching the first video in the first place. So I think it's better to start bad than to not start at all. Who knows what thoughts, ideas will come whilst making something. That's why I think the process is more important than the finish. I've spent so much time in my head, my thoughts, instead of on a page, on a canvas, a piece of paper, that I talked myself into believing things that were not real. Forget about art. I was thinking I wasn't even worth this life. When I don't see a result, something being made in the present moment, I tend to forget I exist in a physical realm, and I become locked between the walls of my thinking. And the gap between the thought and the hand becomes bigger and bigger. The gap between the hand and the pen, even bigger than that. Not to even mention the gap between the pen and the paper. Tasks seem impossible. It seems like creating something becomes impossible without ever taking the first step. So when I have started working on letting this creative force take over, letting the pen do the work, the arm, the hand, the shoulder, to think that it is not me doing this, I'm only an instrument, it became easier, much easier to trust and to just perform a task. Who knows what will grow out of this? All I know is that ideas come and go. Some stick around and grow into a beautiful tree, or at least a tree, or a flower. But if I don't start, I don't fail, so I am safe. Being safe is a killer of creativity. Don't get me wrong, every morning I wake up and think of ways to feel safe. I intend to stop drinking coffee. However, that makes me feel safe now, so I can't let go of it yet, and I drink it. Now I realize writing has become something that makes me feel safe, so now I write. This is the time where I write the most in my life. Also, pardon me for my mistakes in grammar or any other, as English is not my first language. 11 years of living in London has helped me talking in English. However, I still make mistakes. I don't know about you, but I always enjoyed looking at other people drawing. I know it's annoying if someone stares at you whilst you're drawing, but that's why I enjoy watching YouTube and other people drawing. Peter Draws is one channel I really enjoy. There are many more. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you are watching this, please like, share, and subscribe. Yes, thank you for your support on this journey. Another great task to do is to be grateful for all the things in life which are happening to me. I thank every single detail, good or bad, especially the small things. When you think about it, if you have children and you give them something, anything, any toy, let's say, and they are in a mood or grumpy, they will probably take the toy and chuck it right back at you or throw it away. So what do you do then? You don't give them another toy. Well, that's at least what I think. Perhaps that's a bad analogy, and now I seem cruel towards children or something. That's not what I meant. What I meant was that if you get a smile, a compliment, if you get to walk outside, enjoy the sun or rain, or even get to walk outside at all, or live in an environment without war, you are quite lucky. So why not to be grateful for that? If you walk around grumpy, then whatever you will get that day will not make you feel better. Or if it will only be for a second or a minute or two, and then back to the initial state of misery. But if I learn to appreciate the small things, and especially the so-called bad things that happen to me, I learn that all of those events are necessary in my life, and I move on. I don't get caught up in it. From light to dark, and vice versa, in Caravaggio's paintings, I move through daily emotions, and it sucks embracing the void of our existence. It all ends in so-called tragedy, death. All the work seems to have no meaning, but perhaps this is where we come to the realization again. It's about the process and not the finish. Again, apologies for the example of the child. Perhaps he or she just wants another toy to play with, or is just hungry. We should give every child what they need. I am not a parent, so I wouldn't know. And these are all my thoughts on my first video, of which I will be probably embarrassed in the future. I did 2 more drawings on this day. However, I will use those videos of me drawing trees in a forest for my next video. I am super grateful to you for watching this, and I hope you liked it. Please comment any thoughts, suggestions for any future videos, whether you liked it or not, the subjects I was talking about, and so on. There's so much more I wanted to speak about and address. However, I decided to make the first video not longer than 10 minutes. However, we are way past that stage. Please comment if you like the edited version better, or you would prefer the uncut version where it is one full video without cuts. I tend to think that I talk too much, so I wrote this text down to make sure I don't blab nonsense. And it is another good way to practice writing. Lastly, I would like to thank all the creatives out there, all my friends and family who support me. Artists are just regular people, and so-called regular people are artists too. I look at construction workers as one of the most creative people. However, they might not consider themselves as such. I can't build a house, but I can draw someone building one. And the more I embrace the fact that I am a creative person, that I must create in order to live a creative life, a meaningful life, to me, the more inspired I begin to feel of my own spirit. I didn't mention the fact that I had to stop any intoxicants coming into my body, so I apologize if I offended anyone who are going through hard times right now, as those tend to bring up a lot of negative emotions and thoughts, and it's not easy to go through recovery, and oftentimes we can't go at it alone. I got help by seeking psychotherapy, attended group therapy. Depending on what symptoms a person is suffering from, usually there are support groups which are free to attend. That's how I got help, and it really does work. I can't feel better if I keep putting poison in my body, which affects my mental state. So once again, thanks a million times. Apologies for a scattered content first video, and see you in the next one. Wysoko Gerauso. All the best.